All right, tonight we're learning more about Prince Harry's struggle with mental health brought on by the death of his mother, Princess Diana.
Prince Harry's private psychiatrist notes have been leaked to the public, and Meghan Markle might be pulling every string to control the story. These aren't just random rumors. We're talking personal therapy records revealing anxiety, royal family conflicts, and even private mental health strategies. Who leaked them? How did the media get hold of them? And is Meghan actually running a secret PR operation behind the scenes to shut it all down? Let's get into it. These leaked notes aren't just some random diary entries. They're actual session write-ups from Harry's private psychiatrist. They go into a lot of detail about how he's been feeling, the stuff that keeps him up at night, and the triggers that set him off. From what's being shared, there are mentions of him struggling with anxiety and feeling a constant weight of guilt, like he's always second-guessing himself. There's also talk about PTSD triggers, stuff that takes him back to moments he's tried to move on from, like paparazzi encounters or tense arguments within the royal family.
And I quickly established that if this relationship was going to work, that I was going to have to deal with my past, because there was anger there. And it wasn't anger at her, it was just anger.
Some pages apparently cover conflicts with his brother William. It's not all explosive drama, but more about the emotional toll those disagreements have taken on him. The notes also mention Harry's struggles with how the media paints him, like he's constantly caught between being honest and being judged for it. And it's not all gloom. There are also parts where the psychiatrist writes about the tools they're using in therapy, things like grounding exercises, breathing techniques, and reframing negative thoughts. It even hints at some redacted medical notes, maybe about medication doses or changes, but those parts are blurred out in the screenshots floating online. The leak didn't come from some random blog. It first popped up in a tabloid that's notorious for following every move Meghan and Harry make. You know the type, the kind of outlet that has sources in every corner of royal life and drops dramatic headlines just to stir up clicks. According to the article, the notes were handed over by someone close to the situation. They didn't name the person, obviously, but they called them an inside source, which basically means it could be anyone from a clinic employee to someone in Harry's own circle. Either way, this is a massive breach of trust. Doctor-patient confidentiality is supposed to be untouchable. For Harry, this is way bigger than another bad headline. It's about his mental health being turned into entertainment. These are conversations where he's probably been at his most honest and vulnerable, believing that nothing would leave the room. Now that trust has been shattered, and that's not something you can easily fix. The fact that it involves a royal makes it even messier. People already have strong opinions about Harry and Meghan, so this leak instantly became fuel for whatever side of the debate you're on. Supporters see it as proof that he's been under extreme pressure, while critics try to twist the notes to fit their own narratives. Leaks like this don't happen often, but when they do, they're always huge. The closest thing people can compare it to is when private medical records or therapy transcripts of other celebrities have surfaced. There's a similar vibe to the way the Edward Snowden leaks shook the political world, except here, it's not about government secrets. It's about one person's mental health. In both cases, the leak challenges trust in the system. Snowden's files made people question how much the government watches us. Harry's notes make people wonder if even therapy is safe from public exposure. The difference is, Snowden's leaks were defended by some as being in the public interest. With Harry's case, it's hard to argue that exposing someone's private struggles helps anyone, other than the people cashing in on the story. There's also the celebrity factor. We've seen private texts, emails, and recordings get leaked before, but psychiatric notes hit different. Meghan isn't new to the media game. Before marrying Harry, she worked in Hollywood, which means she's used to dealing with PR teams, press releases, and crafting the right image. She knows how the media works and how quickly a story can spin out of control. That's why when something as personal as Harry's psychiatrist notes gets leaked, she's probably thinking 10 steps ahead about how to protect both of them. There's also a pattern with Meghan. In the past, whenever negative headlines have surrounded her and Harry, she's responded in a very strategic way. Sometimes it's through carefully timed interviews, other times through op-eds in respected outlets, or even by using social media to share a more positive narrative. It's not about randomly reacting, it's about setting the tone so that the public sees their side of the story before someone else defines it for them.
Your family cut you off?
Yeah, in the first quarter of 2020. But I've got what my mum left me, and without that, we would not have been able to do this.
If Meghan is stepping in to manage this situation, there are a few ways she could do it. First, she could release a strong public statement that focuses on how wrong it is to leak someone's private therapy records. That would shift the focus from the content of the notes to the ethics of the leak. She might also team up with well-known mental health organizations to speak out against the invasion of privacy. By doing this, the conversation becomes less about Harry as an individual and more about protecting everyone's mental health rights. Behind the scenes, Meghan could be quietly talking to journalists she trusts, encouraging them to cover the story in a more sympathetic way. She's known to have allies in the media, and this could be one of those moments where she calls in favors. Meghan's strategy might also involve pushing back harder against the people spreading the leaked notes. One way is by creating a completely different, more positive story to grab headlines. For example, she could launch a public mental health campaign, which would make her and Harry look proactive and compassionate instead of just reactive. Another option is going the legal route. If the law allows it, she could have her team send takedown notices to websites or even file lawsuits against those who publish the notes. This could make others think twice before spreading them further. She might also consider releasing small, carefully chosen parts of the notes herself, parts that aren't damaging but show Harry in a positive human light. This is called a controlled leak, and it can sometimes take the shock factor out of a scandal. While Meghan stepping in might seem like a smart move, it also comes with risks. For one, the tabloids love to paint her as a control freak, so if she's too visible in managing the situation, critics could say she's trying to hide the truth. Headlines like "Meghan silences the media" or "Meghan the gatekeeper" would practically write themselves. There's also the risk of being accused of manipulation. If people believe she's carefully crafting every word and move, it could feed into the narrative that she's always pulling the strings behind Harry. This might especially fuel her critics who already think she's too controlling. Even well-intentioned actions could backfire. For example, if she files legal threats, some might see that as an attack on press freedom. If she works with friendly journalists, people might accuse her of staging biased coverage. Basically, any involvement from Meghan risks becoming part of the story itself, which could distract from the real issue, Harry's privacy being violated. But what about Harry himself? How's he actually handling this insane leak? Let's jump inside his world and see the real emotional damage. Harry's life has been shaped by trauma from an early age. Losing his mother, Princess Diana, in such a public and tragic way left deep scars. The constant flash of paparazzi cameras, the endless media headlines, and growing up under public scrutiny only added to the weight he carried. Later, his time in the military brought its own challenges. While serving gave him purpose, it also exposed him to high-stress situations that stayed with him long after he returned home.
So many of us, probably 99.9% of us, are carrying around some form of unresolved grief, trauma, or loss. And that manifests itself.
Therapy became a way for Harry to process all of this. It wasn't about being weak, but about finding tools to handle the mental load he'd been carrying for decades. When it comes to leaks like this, privacy laws are no joke. In the UK, medical records are protected under the Data Protection Act and GDPR, which treat them as special category data, basically meaning they have extra layers of protection. In the US, there's HIPAA, which makes it illegal for healthcare providers to share patient information without consent. The tricky part here is that we don't know exactly where the leak happened. If the Psychiatrist is based in the US, then HIPAA could apply. If they're in the UK, GDPR rules would kick in. If the data somehow crossed borders, like stored on overseas servers, it could get even more complicated. Either way, these laws exist for a reason, to make sure personal health information stays between the patient and the provider. If someone inside the clinic leaked Harry's notes, they could face serious consequences, including fines, job loss, or even criminal charges. Harry definitely has options when it comes to suing. First, he could go after the person or organization that leaked the notes. If it was a clinic employee, that's a clear breach of confidentiality, and they could be sued for damages. He could also target the media outlet that published them. Invasion of privacy and intentional infliction of emotional distress are possible claims, especially if the leak caused him measurable harm, like stress, reputational damage, or impact on his work. The challenge is that media companies often defend themselves by arguing public interest. They might claim that because Harry is a public figure, reporting on his mental state is justified, but courts usually draw a hard line when it comes to medical records. Unlike public speeches or interviews, therapy notes are protected on a whole different level. If Harry does take legal action, there are a few possible endings to the story. One is that he wins a court order forcing websites and media outlets to take down the leaked notes. This wouldn't erase them completely. Once something's on the internet, it's nearly impossible to remove it all, but it could limit how widely it spreads. Another outcome could be financial compensation. Courts might award damages for the emotional and reputational harm caused by the leak. But even a big payout wouldn't really fix the personal damage. It's not like money can restore trust in therapy. There's also the chance of criminal charges if the leak violated specific privacy laws. That would depend on the jurisdiction and whether prosecutors think the case is strong enough to pursue. So after everything we've gone through, it's clear this leak is way more than just another royal headline. It's not just about Harry and Meghan, it's about the safety of private mental health conversations for everyone. If therapy notes can be leaked from one of the most high-profile people in the world, then the trust we put in confidentiality is at risk. So what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And of course, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive.